What is going on, everybody? Zach RC here. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome along to episode 96 of the F1 Ultimate Career Series for the Singapore Grand Prix. If you guys did miss the last episode, make sure to go check that one out before you see this one. And as always, if you are new around here, then make sure to get subscribed for more future F1 content as the series continues on. So, into the final four races then of 2025 and the last four races of the series, the first of which being held under the lights in Marina Bay. Of course, Singapore, a place that we've not had too much success in the past. Of course, a relatively poor race there back in 2021, a retirement in 2023, so hopefully third time lucky we can get ourselves a solid finish. And of course the championship rivalry continues to rage on. We've got a bit of a lead over Verstappen in the last few rounds, so our aim now is to try and maintain that advantage going into the final quarter of the campaign. 475 resource points to spend, but I don't think we've actually got enough at this point to actually make any more significant upgrades, so I had to leave things for now, unfortunately. Not even the failed upgrade on the durability front is able to be repaired with the number of points we've got. We need about 50 more, so we'll just leave that for now. No R&D progress for us at the minute. Power unit seems all okay, but I may change that gearbox before qualifying. I have to wait and see after practice. And in terms of the World Championship then, 24 points in front of Verstappen. Norris is, for the most part, out of it. No real chance for the title from there. And of course, Red Bull have floundered in recent races. There's every chance we can try and catch them, us at Ferrari, because Hamilton's been getting back into it recently. The swing of things definitely seems to be shifting in our team's favour. So Red Bull could find themselves under serious pressure for both championships. Of course, the Drivers' Championship very much in our favour with 4 rounds left. But the Constructors' Championship, Red Bull have led that all season. But Ferrari and McLaren have never really got themselves going. But here we are now with a chance to try and nab both titles and take both championships for Ferrari from under Red Bull's noses. But in terms of R&D now, got a few more points to spend, up just under 900 points left to spend. So we'll put those towards one more upgrade before we head to Singapore for the race weekend. We'll go for this durability upgrade, a minor one on the energy store. That'll come in after the race in America, which is the next episode from here. And of course, it's Brazil after that, and the finale to cap off the series in Abu Dhabi. But first, 3 more races to do. It's time now to head over to Singapore and get this race weekend underway with qualifying.
As night falls in Singapore, the track starts to warm up, and it'll be red hot by the time we find out who's on pole for tomorrow's race. Time to set the grid then. Welcome along to qualifying here in Singapore.
So the tight, twisty street circuit that winds around Marina Bay is host to round 13 of the World Championship, and qualifying about to get underway. In terms of that gearbox change, did make it following practice, so we're going to try and avoid any gearbox dramas. Power units behaved quite nicely over the course of the seasons. Only that gearbox failure in Miami has really plagued us so far in this campaign. It's into the last few corners here, through turns 16 and 17, and onto our first flying lap. Of course, 19 corners on the circuit, each of them tighter and more difficult than the last. So through turns 18 and 19 to begin our first flying run. Long run down towards that first corner. DRS in play, a bit of battery as well. Hot lap mode in position going into turn 1. Of course, immediately met with turns 2 and then turn 3. So into the left-hander now. Liam Lawson's RB just there in front of us. Hopefully it won't be too much of a distraction in terms of dirty air. Going up through the gears again through turn 4 and into turn 5. Now the right-hander. Bit wide there off our line by comparison to what we'd like to be. And making our way onto the second DRS zone. 4 DRS zones on the circuit. Of course, this one cap at the end of the first sector. Through turn 6 and towards 7. It's a purple sector 1, 27.1, so good start to the lap. Hulkenberg fastest there, 131.8 as we slide through turn number 7, but keeping the car under control and in position for turn 8 now. And pushing on, sliding again out of turn 8 and into the last sector now. Russell fastest, 1 minute 30.3. The Mercedes looking slightly stronger in recent races. Let's see if they've got in terms of pace for in tonight's Grand Prix. We're going into the last few corners here, into the final chicane through turns 16 and 17. Only a green second sector, so not a fantastic first run overall. Have to see how things look in this final sector here, going over the curb in turn 18 and through 19 now. Only a 131.9, so well off here. A second and a half off the pace, so work to be done then on our second lap. We've had a lap to adjust and try and figure out our bearings on the circuit. So we'll return to the pit lane and get ourselves set for a second run towards the end of qualifying. Out to the top 10 here, down in P12 as Russell stays fastest. But Max Verstappen, our championship rival, they're actually slower than us and in P14 and not going out front of the lap just yet. I think he's also waiting until the end of qualifying. Hamilton in P7, so the order looks a bit more messed up by comparison. But into the second sector now on our second lap. The checker flag has now fallen. Russell is still up there, still fastest to my mind, but we're a second and a half up, leaving turn 13, heading down towards 14. A second DRS zone awaiting us here, or fourth on the lap in all, but going into this final sector now and making our way towards the end of the circuit. 1.8 seconds up, so big improvement here. This could be pole position potentially if things finish up the way we want them to, as you go up towards turn 16 for the last time here in qualifying, into the right and now the left, and looking for a good exit, sliding there, losing the wheel a little bit going through turn 8 to turn 17, but through towards 18 and 19 now to cap off the lap. 1.7 seconds improvement towards the line. It's looking like pole. It could be pole here.
fantastic. You've got pole position.
And another pole position then, so P1 on the grid for the race here in Singapore. Fantastic result.
Well, that wraps up qualifying, but don't worry. We'll be back tomorrow as we head into the Grand Prix.
So pole once again then, only by 400ths over Russell. Piastri in third, Alonso fourth, Norris in P5. Then it's Sainz, Hulkenberg, Hamilton, Albon and Snowdale top 10. Verstappen in P12 could be in trouble potentially going into the Grand Prix, but a big chance for us to try and gain points now in this World Championship. It is time for the Singapore Grand Prix.
Marina Bay hosted a Grand Prix that briefly ran in the 60s and 70s, but the Garden City re-entered the calendar for good in 2008. We missed it for a couple of years, but it was great to come back to the Singapore Grand Prix. And here's our track, 4.94 kilometers long, and overtaking chances into the first corner, into turn 14 at the end of the Esplanade, and now into turn 16 in the newly reprofiled sector that we first ran on in 2023. Still though, it's punishing and tough on the brakes, and the heat and humidity will take an effect on our drivers. It's time to see how our drivers are stacking up after yesterday's exciting qualifying session. Cohen lines up on pole position, just ahead of George Russell, who starts this event from P2. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Piastri, Fernando Alonso, Lando Norris and Sainz, Hulkenberg, Hamilton, Albon and Yuki Tsunoda, Doohan, Verstappen, Pierre Gasly and Antonelli, Ocon, Lawson, Gabriel Bortoleto and Ollie Behrman. Stroll and Isaac Hadjar rounds off the grid. It's almost time for those 5 red lights to go out then. Let's see who can prevail today. And joining me in the commentary box this afternoon, the First Lady of World Motorsports, Naomi Schiff. I know what we've got to do before the start of today's race, but what about our driver? What do the final hours look like for them?
Well, every driver certainly has their own way of preparing themselves before a race. But I can tell you that pre-race rituals are a real thing. When I was in go-karting, I used to touch every wheel in a specific sequence before I got into the kart. And then I stepped up to cars and had a specific set of fireproof base layers just for race day. So watch the drivers when they're on the grid. Some may be sitting on the floor and isolating, others may be up to other things that they do. But these little things really help their minds get ready for the race.
Here we go then, no more talking, time for action for the Singapore Grand Prix from pole position, and potentially a threat of rain could await us later on this Grand Prix. There it is, so we're on the mid portion of the race and around our pit window. So hard tyre start, going to go on to set medium should we need to, should that rain not arrive. We could be seeing inters later on.
Here we go then, the formation lap gets underway and the excitement here is building as we near ever closer to the start of the race. Which team will come out on top? Who's got their strategies right for today's race? Well, we'll soon find out.
So mediums and hards then the primary tyre of choice for the entire field here. No one taking a risk and starting on soft tyres, but the rain is coming, so we could see intermediates being in use later on in the race.
So as all the cars take their positions on the grid, the teams will be hoping their strategies pay off for them in today's race. But the question I'm asking is which teams have got it right and which ones have got it horribly wrong?
So on to the grid then, and looking potentially for our 7th race victory of 2025. It's been a dominant campaign so far. Verstappen is falling away in the title chase, 24 points back, and starts from P12 from this Grand Prix. So a big chance for us to at most double our lead in the standings. Russell and Piastri both looking for their first wins of the season. Piastri's never won in Formula 1, so it could be his chance as the last few cars take their places on the back of the grid here, and we get set for the lights to come on. It's 5 red lights for the Singapore Grand Prix. Round 13 of the championship, 4 races left to go. Lights out, foot to the floor. We are racing under the lights here in Marina Bay. Good start from us compared to Piastri and Russell going down towards turn 1 into the first corner we come. Nice and easy here, but those two going side by side behind us. Russell has the edge for turn 2. Piastri have the inside for turn 3. Those two will go wheel to wheel on corner exit. We take our lead by a good few attempts here to kick things off. Decent start and making our way through towards turns 4 and 5 here. Controlling the pace, going through turn 5. DRS zone on exit in a lap's time, but Piastri getting in front of George Russell. Might fancy a move now on us for the race lead, going down towards turn 7. Piastri tries it for a second there, moves to the outside, can't get enough run, so maintain our advantage here. Good start. Piastri in P2, Russell 3rd, Norris in 4th, and Fernando Alonso rounds at your top 5 at the end of the first laps. On to lap 2 now. Piastri still on our tail here. Medium tyres on that McLaren, so fresher, faster tyres for the car behind us. Remember, Oscar Piastri yet to taste victory in Formula 1 in the Universe of Ultimate career. Today could be his chance if he gets a good enough run going up for the race lead, going through turn 6 and towards 7 now. Piastri with DRS in his hand makes his move to the inside of the racetrack, going in towards the left hand at the end of the first sector. Going to maintain our hold on the lead around the outside, going towards turn 8, keeping ourselves side by side with the young Australian. Going into turn 8 though, going way too deep there, and Piastri takes full advantage and sides in front of us. Oscar Piastri move him into the race lead for the first time today here on lap number 2. So work for us now is try and get back around Oscar and try and keep George, Lando and Fernando at bay all behind us here in this big train as we go through the second sector. On to the end lap number 3 now, looking towards lap 4 of this race, going through turns 18 and 19. Piastri doing a lead here. Yellow flag behind us because of a concern from someone further back. Not entirely sure who, but our focus is still on Piastri right now. We'll have DRS then going, hopefully, going out to turn 5 and towards turn 6. And the safety car's out for the first time today here, so early on lap 4 of the Grand Prix. So we almost ran into Piastri there, and a car out of the Grand Prix this early on. Looks like one of the Alpines has got a problem here for the second race in a row, but this time it's not Pierre Gasly. This time it's the other Alpine of Jack Doohan, who's had a concern here this early on in the race. It starts way back here going into the final sector where, of course, the yellow flag came out. Of course, he's holding it over and up, and there is the smoke from the Alpine. He's got to find a place to pull that car over, so unfortunate then for Jack Doohan, whose rookie season has really not gone to plan in Formula 1. Of course, amid concerns, he's replaced by Franco Colapinto for next season. But Doohan is pulling the car over now. Game over for one of the Alpines once again here. But the safety car is out, of course. No need for a pit stop. The tyres are still quite fresh. We're still relatively early on into the race here. But Piastri will control the restart to make our way through the final chicane for the 5th time here. We restart on lap number 6 this Grand Prix. Looking for a good jump to try and catch Piastri unawares, leaving the last corner and going towards turn 1 for a move potentially in the first sector as a whole. So Piastri leads the field then into the last 2 corners. The green flag comes back out. Going to use our battery right away on corner X and get a fantastic run on Piastri, going for the race lead once again into turn 1 and taking the race lead in a perfectly timed move at the first corner. Back into P1 then for the second time today here on lap number 6. Piastri trailing us now in second place. Russell still in 3rd. Lando still 4th. And Alonso rounds out your top 5 as we go into turns 4 and 5 once again. DRS not in play yet for Piastri. He might get a good run though, as he did on the first lap. So try and take that position back if he can. Going down towards turn 7 once again. Piastri closing in. Going to try and use some battery to try and keep ourselves in front. Piastri with a better run though. Tries the inside for a second. Backs out, but moves back into line to go through the exit. Turn 7. Around we go. No! And from the race lead, we've spun out and losing all the positions in the world here. Going down outside of the points paying places. And a crucial mistake here this early on the Grand Prix. Sits us down in P15 as we fight Stroll for position here. Leaving turn number 8. But a terrible, terrible case of affairs there. Down the order into P15, out of the points. Piastri now leads, and our work is on here to go on to midway through lap 6 again, making our move around the outside of Bortoletto. First move here, heading the game. Got to get ourselves back in position now to try and move ourselves into the points. Yellow flag behind us here. Looks like one of the RBs has got a problem of some kind. So we work on chasing down Kimi Antonelli, going into turn 14. Not quite sure whether it's Lawson or Hadjar. Had to wait and see just for an update here as we go up towards the last few corners once again. No DRS in play as of yet. Hadjar out of the Grand Prix, second retiree, just 6 laps into this thing as we make our move on Antonelli, going through on the inside there, going through turn 17, but there goes Isaac Hadjar, second retiree, so early on in this thing, and certain drivers, at least their cars, feeling the heat here in Singapore. And so Hadjar then, as he right on board, leaving turn 13, the car, I assume just goes here, losing time, losing speed to the back of the pack, and there is Lawson dead last in the running cars, but Hadjar not having much better luck here as he has to pull that car over, and it's game over then for Isaac. So 2 retirees then so early on into this Grand Prix, but I got to get our heads back in the game now. Our focus is on getting back in the points to make our move on Esteban Ocon, going into turn number 7 on lap 7 of the Grand Prix. Gasly there in front of us, and Max Verstappen currently sitting in P10. So Verstappen only getting 1 point as of right now, and he'll lose that point once we pass him. So making our move here, going down towards turn 13. I'll go to the inside of Gasly here, making a very dicey move to the left-hand side of the Frenchman, non-corner exit, putting our Ferrari in front of his Alpine. And now our focus is on chasing down our championship rival Max Verstappen in the Red Bull there in P10. But the rain, only a few moments later, arrives here towards the end of lap number 7. So our objective now is to get ourselves into the pit lane. Going to run a risk here, going to go to the stop early on in this Grand Prix and go for a set of intermediate tyres to get ourselves into wet weather condition as early as we can here. So going into the pit lane, of course, very awkward pit lane here in Singapore, but looking for our first stop now. Nice and clean stop, no one around us in the pit lane. The rear right was a concern concern then, of course, over the course of that first stint. The rear tyre has been a concern for us all season in terms of tyre wear, but Inter's going on, and a slow change here on the right front. That could be a concern for us as we leave the pit lane. That's cost a fair bit of time. 5.5 seconds in the pit stop, so not fantastic. It's possibly the worst stop we've had all season. Hasn't required a wing change or anything like that. But intermediate tyres now on, last of the running cars. Let's get ourselves back onto the racetrack and hope we can try and get some more time back off the cars in front of us.
We had an issue attaching the left front wheel. I know it's not ideal, but let's try and put that behind us and get back into this race.
Back into the race. That is the aim now. Get a warning for crossing the pit exit white line. Of course, awkward pit entry, awkward pit exit around this street circuit. Onto the racetrack now and onto the end lap number 8. And everyone else coming into the pit lane now in front of us. I think Norris stayed out, so Norris now leads the Grand Prix over Piastri, but the majority of the field pitting as you go very slowly out of turn 19 and onto lap 9 of the Grand Prix. So many things happened in these first 10 laps. It's been a very exciting Singapore Grand Prix so far. Into turn 1, then emerging around sort of mid-train here. Currently sitting in P10, could be P9 off of Yuki into turn 3 around the outside. Not a fantastic place to be there. Yuki keeps his car in front, so Tsunoda takes P9, we'll take P10 then, but a few cars yet to pit in front of us. We work on chasing down Yuki and onto lap number 12 now, a few laps later, into 8th place, and onto lap 13. Ocon on our tail here, but not going for a move, curiously, going into that first corner. So Ocon not running a risk. Gasly there in P10, just behind him. So more or less as we were in terms of position, but the cars in front of us have really pulled away. And onto lap 16 here, Hamilton is right behind us. He's joined us in the train to make our way out of turn 5 and towards turn 6 and 7.
Okay, mate, car behind is Lewis. They're faster than you, mate. They're faster than you, so let them through, please.
And normally we'd ignore that, but in this case, I feel like Lewis actually is a fair bit quicker than we are. And you see how much time we've lost in just a few laps to the cars ahead of us. So actually do the honourable thing, make our pass, gonna let Lewis make his way around us here.
Sorry about that, mate. I know you don't want to hear it, but thanks for doing that. Let's now get your head down and get to the end of this race in the best way we can.
So Lewis then goes ahead into P8. We'll take P9 for now then, and have to hope this one comes our way here, because they're quite a way off the leaders as it stands right now, but pushing on towards the end of number 16 now, and the rain is slowing down, but it's not enough as of yet for a switch to drier tyres, but Ocon is still giving us constant pressure behind, and crucially, Verstappen is still in this train, so cut over the curb there at turn 18. Want to try and avoid doing that, and sliding out of turn 19. This could be Ocon's chance, going up towards turn 1, onto lap 17 of the Grand Prix. Ocon making his move around the outside. Can he try and get around us through turn 1? Going to try and squeeze him out for turn 2 if we can. Sliding a bit, they're going towards 3, but keeping ourselves in front of Ocon's Haas and maintaining that spot. But he's right on our tail there, and I think that's Bortoletto not far behind it either as we go up towards turns 4 and 5. So holding on to position here, but Lewis obviously pulling away. We did the right thing, letting him go. There he is up in the distance, going through turn 6. But still not looking like dry tyres as of just yet. But a few laps later, onto lap number 19 of this Grand Prix, we're looking at slightly more dry running here. So looking for our second pit stop of the Grand Prix, onto a set of medium tyres, the last one to the end. Norris is the last, the sort of that lead pack. He's in the pit lane now, so obviously we'll rejoin behind him. A teammate in the pit lane, Lewis making a stop, double stack them for Ferrari, but everyone will get onto the dry tyres now and just have clean, fast laps towards the end of this Grand Prix. It's Ocon still behind us, into the pit lane now. Everyone following us in to the pit lane to make our way in for our second and final stop of this Grand Prix. Safety car's back out, and a safety car for seemingly nothing here. No one is actually pulling over. There's no yellow flag on the circuit. We're coming in now to make our change onto those medium tyres, so hopefully for a fast pit stop than last time. 2.3 second stop, held it for a little bit there, but everyone in front of us will pit as the leaders have all made their stops already. So we'll emerge around where we were, back in 9th place again, but crucially now we'll be much closer to everyone else in terms of track position. So we'll be on medium tyres in dry running, and I'm confident about our dry pace. So honestly, we could have a chance to get ourselves way higher in this Grand Prix, opposed to the measly 2 points we've got right now. Leaving the pit lane, want to try and avoid a penalty for crossing the pit lane exit white line again. But on to lap 23 now, nearing the end of the safety car period. Everyone's in the train here. In terms of your running order up front, Russell now leads the Grand Prix. He and Alonso both stayed out a bit longer under the last run before the safety car came out. So those two got a free pit stop then onto their medium tyres. Piastri's led the whole way, but he's now there in 3rd place. And Nico Hülkenberg, surprisingly, is in P4 for salvage just a few days after his podium at the British Grand Prix in real-life Formula 1. So a potential weird day could emerge for Hülkenberg to get his first podium in Ultimate career. But as for us, though, we're down to P9. Hamilton is there in front of us. It's Norris, then Tsunoda, and in the top 5 carry on as they were. So safety car in this lap. We're going to have 8 laps here to try and get ourselves as high up the order as we can. Albon there in P5 as well, so Albon looking for a top 10 finish as it stands too. Green flag about to emerge then for Russell and Alonso. Here we go now, back to racing on lap 24 of this Grand Prix. 8 more laps to go and a charge for 8 more places in this Grand Prix. Try and take our victory if we can get close enough here. So green flag back in the air, making our first move now on Lewis, going into the braking zone at turn 1. Going to try and pull clear of him, our compatriot and our teammate going through turns 2 and 3. Trying the outside of Norris if we can try and get close enough, can't do it, so stay in P8 for now. But a good restart then, and work begins on us trying to chase down Norris, going through the up the gears once again through turns 4 and 5. Over the curb there at turn 5, keeping ourselves under control though. Norris is focused on Yuki there in front of us. Let's try and make a move. If we can get some battery to our advantage, going down towards turn 7. Let's try a send, going towards this next left-hander, diving to the inside of Norris now, trying to make that move stick. Contact there, going through turn 7. Let's try and keep ourselves alongside Lando here, but going around the outside, trying to break him through turn 8. If we can try and get around him on corner exit, up in front of Norris into 9 and up into 7th place. Then Yuki and Albon, they're in front of us. Our next two concerns. Onto that 25 of this Grand Prix. Our objective is to try and get around Yuki as fast as we can here. Going to try the outside and back to the inside. Going to try to switch back and forth, going into turn number 7. Keeping ourselves alongside Yuki, who pulls clear. But for turn 8, going to switch back and make our move to the inside and into 6th place now. So the charge continues, but the leaders are pulling away here. Russell is out to an advantage on lap 27 of the Grand Prix. Hulkenberg and Albon there, P5 and P4 in this Grand Prix. 12 points at maximum. Could be on offer for us here today in the last few laps of this Grand Prix, but Albon is our main focus for now, going through turns 3 and 4 and towards turn 5 now. The inside of Albon going into the right hander. Can we try and pull clear of him on corner exit? Sliding out of turn number 5. DRS in play. Could be under pressure from Yuki and Norris behind us going towards turn 6 and 7. But our focus remains on Albon. Going to close in once again. Going to try another send if we can here. The inside of Albon going into the left hander. Making our move. Can we try and keep ourselves alongside him once again and try the outside again on corner exit if we can get close enough. Maintain our gap to Albon. And on corner exit, pulling in front. Another move made at turn 8 and into P5 now. So 10 points being scored for us. And that's scored Red Bull 2 in terms of constructors because Yuki's behind us in P7. But focus now shifts to one Nico Hulkenberg in the closing laps here onto that 29, and DRS in play for us once again, much closer to the much slower Sauber on corner exit, making our move to the inside for a second and almost got the door shut on us, but trying to outbrake Hulkenberg now around the outside, nice and easy here into P4. We'll leave him to scrap with Albon at 4, 5th place in the closing laps here, but up front Piastri, Alonso and Russell have pulled away later on this Grand Prix. So move on now to the final lap of the race, nearing the final sector. George Russell's taking clear advantage then of that safety car. He's a few corners now from his first victory of the season. Mercedes' first victory, I believe, since we left them back in the end of season 4. Russell then rounding the final few corners here through turns 18 and 19 for the final time. George Russell will take the checker flag and win then, I believe, for the first time in Ultimate Career. So victory for Russell this late on this series. Alonso takes a fantastic second. Piastri in 3rd place, and for us, it'll be P4. Piastri led all the way after our spin. We've come back from that spin for the last few corners here to take 4th place in this Grand Prix and gain 12 points on Max Verstappen in the Drivers' Championship. A fantastic, a very exciting Grand Prix from dry to wet to dry again. That safety car saved us without a shadow of a doubt, and now we're a step closer once again to try and maintain our championship and win our 3rd Drivers' World title.
We've seen a brilliant display of the Russell hustle. It's George Russell who wins.
What a great way to turn the situation around. And you know what they say? It's not about how you fall off the horse, it's about how you get back on it. And today, they've done a great job of turning the page and rectifying their wrongs.
It's been a hard afternoon of brilliant racing, but now it's time for some proper celebrations. The podium awaits. By George, he was good today. The top step awaits for George Russell.
So George Russell then is your winner here in Singapore. And a fantastic wet weather Grand Prix, very enjoyable again from dry to wet to dry. Russell takes victory then for Mercedes, our former employers. Alonso takes 2nd place, took full advantage of that safety car along with George. And Oscar Piastri, who led for the majority of the way tonight, can only pick up 3rd place at the flag. Disappointing then for McLaren, who of course won't gain as many points in the Constructors' Championship. But in terms of our final results then, it'll mean a fantastic P4 for us and overall gaining points on Max Verstappen in the Drivers' World Championship. Here's your final results then. Russell wins from Alonso and Piastri. 4th place for us, 5th place for Albon, 6th for Tsunoda, 7th for Norris. Hulkenberg fell to 8th at the end of the race. Hamilton P9 and Ocon takes the last point in front of Antonelli. And Max Verstappen, a no score then. A frustrating end to the Grand Prix. A frustrating last few races for Verstappen, who's got a habit here of falling off late in the season. But 36 points now in front and a major step closer to our 3rd world title. Norris there in P3. Piastri gaining a few points. George in 6th place now in the championship. Fantastic win for him here today. And in the Constructors, Red Bull now only 18 points in front of us now. Ferrari, McLaren in 3rd place. Still an outside shot. It's a 3-way fight for the Constructors title with 3 rounds to go. Who will win it? Guys, that'll do it then for Ultimate Career. So I hope you did enjoy it. If you did, make sure to like, share and subscribe for more future F1 content. Have an absolutely fantastic day. And I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.